Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands and welcome to an SP Patrons video today that I'm making for BranSi0730 ZHANG as part of their custom monthly music review. And if we switch over to here, we have ourselves a video. Now I'm gonna remove the SP logo real quick and the intro time real quick, just so you can see it. This is a track by HOYO MiX and Jonathan Steingard titled Wildfire. So basically this is the stuff, we're checking this out today. I just wanted to make sure you could see that. It's gonna be obviously down the bottom in the usual bar over here or something like that, but you know what I mean. We're gonna be listening through this track from start till finish and we're gonna hear what we think. There are gonna be lyrics as well. It's just, I don't know if you'll be able to see them, but let's go. Just here.
Hearts will never bleed, frozen and banished out of greed. In their restless dreams, they try so hard to breathe. Pulses flutter and sting within this bleakness.
I mean, like, it's so beautiful. The vocal styles are fantastic. Great head and chest voice. I love the guitar on the left of the stereo field, not completely swallowing us immediately. And those drum parts, the drums just sound like they're going to be big when they come in. Great reverb tail to the drums. Beautiful melody. Yeah, came up a little bit, back down.
We made a choice, go fight against your fate. Pain will come with the blade. Pain will wake up the despondent crowd in this storming world somehow.
Shout out just to how good video game music is. I know it was great before, but just what the possibilities we got nowadays, right? Tempo change? Such range instrumentally. And are we just done?
We made a choice, go fight against your fate.
Well done. And the fluidity, the dexterity of the drums. Great. Really well handled. Cheers to Brandon for this pick. I enjoyed my time with this track. It's good. It's really good. And this is the conclusion of my review of this track from the Jonathan Steingard, the HOYO MiX, titled Wildfire. Now, what do I think this track is about? I think that this track, with my understanding, having looked through the lyrics as we went along, is that this track is about people fighting whatever comes their way, rending the clouds above, trying to wake an apathetic populace up from their sort of stupefaction and trying to get them to pay attention and letting them know that you're not going to stand for whatever is coming your way and will affect you negatively. Basically, it's about having strength and unsheathing your sword, not to kill, but again for a better future, a brighter day. I think it's a beautiful thing. I think that's a beautiful thing to write a song about. Apparently, if I'm not mistaken, this is like the first boss battle music. So clearly, whatever game we've been playing at the moment is pretty big. It's a pretty big game. It sounds pretty epic. So I actually wouldn't mind trying to play it myself. It might be fun. But anyways, basically, really happy with the story that was told here. I'm not going to pretend it's the first time I've heard a story like this, especially from video game music, and it fits, it's par for the course, but I think that it was sung really well by Jonathan Steingard. I think they're a tremendous vocalist. As I said in the review, fantastic head and chest voice. I've got no real complaints about it, you know. There was a bit of vocal fry there, a bit of softness occasionally, but they were very comfortable in that mid voice, and they belt. There were some belts in there. There were some lovely harmonies there that really accentuated their range and skill and were really appropriate for the story and the rest of the piece and the instrumental parts. And I just think ultimately we just had a really convincing track here that was well considered and well put together, and I think the story was told really authentically by Jonathan. They sounded like they really cared about what they were singing about, and they sold it, you know. And I think that can be something which can be very difficult to do, especially when you're writing music for like a creative media where it may be like a fantasy genre or like a concept where you may never be able to fully relate to what's going on with the characters. But if you can just find a way to kind of insert yourself into that world and really get yourself lost in it, really special stuff happens, and this is one of those situations where that occurred. So well done to Jonathan Steingard for their vocal performance here. I assume it is Jonathan singing this with Wildfire. Outside of the vocals and the story and the way it was told, this track is 3 minutes 38, and I think that fits well within a 2 to 4 minute sweet spot that I expect from songs that I listen to nowadays. And the reason that it's important is because people typically assume that that's going to be the length of song they're going to hear. If you write a longer song than this, you need to find a way to get the listener to be wanting to hear more of it. I think this is one of those rare opportunities where we could have potentially had more and gotten away with it. Now, we had the guitars come in, we had the drums and the bass later on, the vocals being sort of like the main vocal point for a lot of it, you know. And it was predominantly like steel string guitars, if not distorted. Later on, we had like several different guitar layers there in the mid and high ranges there. So this was rock for rock's sake, man. This is rock, bass, and drums. And we got the most out of these different instruments. I mean, like the drums, there was a lot. Actually, I should go in chronological order, shouldn't I? I think that the arpeggios that we had on the guitar in the beginning there, the way things were strummed and picked was beautiful. It was meant to be very kind of like a little bit of strength behind it, but not as much as we had later on when everything came in. I think the airiness of the vocals, not like that it was spooky, but that like it kind of floated with a great sort of nice reverb tail there. I think it was really charming to enter on that part, just to have things not be totally full in the stereo field, because we had the drums come in occasionally, but later on with the kicks and snares. And that were huge when they came in, simply because of a lack of other things on that side. It was nice panning of the instruments within the mix. I think it was well considered. In addition to that, when the bass and drums did come in, they were full and they were huge and they surrounded the stereo field, and the bass was nicely controlled and low end, following along really well with the power chords or the octave chords or whatever other kind of like lead elements we had on the guitars, with the vocals still remaining the focal point, the main kind of point of interest. But in addition to that, it's just simply the fact that we had the bass there supporting the chord progressions and giving it a huge, massive size to the overall tone of it, the motif and theme. But also the drums with the flexibility and fantastic stick work. I mean, like we had a wide variety of different drum beats and drum fills and cymbal grooves, and we never slept on it. We had a bit of minimalism at the introduction part, you know, with just those kicks and snares, but then when the whole entire kit came in, it dominated and it really elevated the track. And I think the combination of the different guitar layers, the bass being nice and round and well, kind of relatively conservative in the low end, with the drums kind of playing to pocket to where they needed to be in order to keep things moving forward, it was tremendous. And I mean, just with that interlude part where like there was a tempo shift and it was the kind of filtered steel string, and we had like a change of pace for that one point, it was just such a palate cleanser. We didn't really need to have a change of tempo, a change of section. I don't necessarily think it was like an obligatory thing, but it's just worth noting that it's a reasonably unique thing, and I'm sure it was more kind of like maybe it was a specific part of the boss battle that was meant to refer to, but it was just great to have things slow down a little bit at that point, or to speed up a little bit at that point, should I say, and then just to have that space where it could have been so awkward, but they just left enough nothingness for it to come back with the vocals on the sides, the double track parts, and then boom, they enter back in with the final hook to lead us out. I've got no real complaints about how it was structured or performed. I don't think there was a note out of place. And I think the power of the theme itself with the bright guitars, the bass, and the ferocity of the drums, it worked well with the defiance of the vocal performance there, the care about the defiance, the assertion of it. And I think overall things are well connected and considered, and good stuff. I mean, finally, the studio recording, mixing, and mastering was more than adequate. I mean, it was commercial grade. The vocals had a great sort of like clarity to them in the mix, you know, whether they were center field or whether they were like double tracked. I think things were really well handled. In addition to that, guitars were nice and bright and shimmery, whether they were the clean steel string sort of clean parts or whether they were the distorted parts later on. The bass was nicely controlled on the low end without any weird resonances. The drums were definitely present without sidechaining too heavily or egregiously against everything else. And I mean, just ultimately, we just, you know, with the drums, the guitars, the bass, and the vocals together, nicely stacked in the frequency spectrum and in the stereo field, you effectively have a track which is sounding pretty good. I mean, like the leveling of the elements was great. There was dynamic range. Things kind of fell to a standstill after being big. There was changes in the energy levels of the track, so there was definitely multiple bell curves there, which was really effective, and it led the listener on a journey rather than having everything the same all the time, which is obviously a detriment. And you know, finally, it was nice and loud without pumping, so limiting compression was handled well. And this is a very positive review of this track from Jonathan Steingard and HOYO MiX, titled Wildfire, and hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please do go show them some love via their various social medias. And I think this will be on all digital stream platforms. And stay cool and stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as they need the help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world. And I'll catch you in the next SU Patrons video. Spiderhands out.